Hello students, hope you're safe and doing well. Today I'm going to teach you English. I expect you to pay complete attention throughout the period. I also want you to take a notebook and pen so that you can write down whatever I tell you to write. So, without any further delay, let's begin.
So students, you have all studied about Neolithic age in your history subject. Here is a very easy crossword on the basic questions about Neolithic age. You can solve this in your notebooks, and all those who wish to solve online, I have sent you the link of the crossword. You can solve it online and come back to the lecture in 1 minute. Yes, so here's the puzzle. You can see it now, and here are the questions, downwards and across questions. So you will solve this in 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute to solve this. Okay, so now stop solving. Let us see what are the answers. So the first question downwards is used as clothes by Neolithic man made out of animal skin. So I think it is leather. Yes, that's right answer. Then the second downward is used as utensils by Neolithic man. So that's pots. That is also right answer. Third one is weapon used in Neolithic age. I'll say stone. And that's the right answer. Fourth, food consumed by Neolithic man, collective name for seeds of various crops like rice, wheat, barley, etc. So it is grains. And the last question, that is Neolithic man cooked food using, so that is sticks. So that's the right answer of the puzzle. Now let's go back to the lecture. So students, you know some things about Neolithic age. Let us now see how they communicated. And so today we shall study the vocabulary and highlights of the lesson, how the first letter was written. The lesson is an adaptation of children's story written by Rudyard Kipling. The lesson is on page 72 to 79 in your textbook. Let us first know about the writer before moving to the lesson. So Rudyard Kipling, in full, Joseph Rudyard Kipling, born December 30, 1865, Bombay, now Mumbai, India, died January 18, 1936, London, England, was an English short story writer, poet, and novelist, chiefly remembered for his celebration of British imperialism, his tales and poems of British soldiers in India, and his tales for children. He received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1907. So this is the picture of Rudyard Kipling. He is the writer of the story. How the first letter was written. Once upon a most early time was a Neolithic man, and he lived cavely in a cave and he wore very few clothes, and he couldn't read, and he couldn't write, and he didn't want to. And except when he was hungry, he was quite happy. His name was Tegumai Bobsulai, and that means man who does not put his foot forward in a hurry. But we, O best beloved, will call him Tegumai for short. And his wife's name was Teshumai Tivindro, and that means lady who asks a very many questions. But we, O best beloved, will call her Teshumai for short. And his little daughter's name was Tifimai Mittalumai, and that means small person without any manners who ought to be spanked. But I'm going to call her Taffy, and she was Tegumai Bobsulai's best beloved and her own mummy's best beloved, and she was not spanked half as much as was good for her, and they were all three very happy. So students, I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this passage, and your time starts now. I hope you all are reading. Okay, students, stop reading now. So, students, in the first passage, the writer introduces 3 characters of the story to us. Who are the 3 characters? Yes, you're right. Tegumai Bobsulai, Teshumai Tivindro, and Tefimai Mittalumai are the 3 characters. And what is the writer calling each character in short? Yes, you're right. The writer is calling them Tegumai, Teshumai, and Taffy in short. And all these 3 characters are from which age? Yes, they are from Neolithic age. Students, what does Tegumai Bobsulai means? Yes, Tegumai Bobsulai means man who does not put his foot forward in a hurry. And what is the meaning of Teshumai Tivindro? Yes, you're correct. Teshumai Tivindro means lady who asks a very many questions. And what is the meaning of Tefimai Mittalumai's name? Yes, Tefimai Mittalumai means small person without any manners who ought to be spanked. Students, look for a word that means likely. Yes, you're correct. The word out means likely. phrase that means to hit or slap. Yes, you're correct. The phrase to be spanked means to hit or slap. Students, on what basis do you think the writer must have given meanings to the characters' names? Yes, you're absolutely correct. He has given meanings to their names based on their character and behavior. So our behavior and our character is very important, and we must have good behavior and good character. Now let us move to the next passage. Now attend and listen. One day, Tegumai Bobsilai went down through the beaver swamp to the Vagai river to spear crabfish for dinner, and Taffy went too. Tegumai's spear was made of wood with shark's teeth at the end, and before he had caught any fish at all, he accidentally broke it clean across by jabbing it down too hard on the bottom of the river. They were miles and miles from home, and Tegumai had forgotten to bring any extra spears. "Here's a pretty kettle of fish," said Tegumai. "It will take me half a day to mend this." "There's your big black spear at home," said Taffy. "Let me run back to the cave and ask Mummy to give it to me." "It's too far for your little fat legs," said Tegumai. Besides, you might fall into the beaver swamp and be drowned. We must make the best of a bad job." He sat down and took out a little leather mendie bag full of reindeer sinews and strips of leather and lumps of beeswax and resin, and began to mend the spear. Students, I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this passage. Your timer has started already, so you all start reading. Okay, stop reading now. Time's up. So students, in this passage, the writer begins to tell us a story. Where did Tegumai Bobsilai go? Yes, Tegumai Bobsilai went down through the beaver swamp to Vagai river. Students, look for a word that means wait. Yes, the word attend means wait. Students, where did Tegumai Bobsilai go? Yes, Tegumai Bobsilai went down through the beaver swamp to the Vagai river. Students, now look for a word that means a marshy land. Yes, you're right. The word swamp means a marshy land. why did Tegumai go to the Vagai river? Yes, Tegumai went to the Vagai river to spear crabfish for dinner. And students, we know that Taffy also went along with Tegumai to spear crayfish for dinner. Now students, what was Tegumai's spear made of? Yes, Tegumai's spear was made of wood with shark's teeth at the end. How did Tegumai break his spear? Yes, you are correct. Tegumai broke his spear by jabbing it down too hard on the bottom of river. Students, look for a word that means poking motion. Yes, the word jabbing means a poking motion. What did Tegumai say when his spear was broken? You are right. Tegumai said that it was a pretty kettle of fish and he would need half a day to mend the spear. Now, look for a phrase, students, that means a messy situation. Yes, you're correct. A pretty kettle of fish is a phrase for messy situation. Now look for a word that means the act of repairing. You're absolutely correct. The word mend means the act of repairing. What did Taffy say on the situation? Yes, Taffy said that she will run back to the cave and ask her mummy to give her the big black spear. What was there in Tegumai's mendy bag? You're right, there were reindeer sinews and strips of leathers and lumps of beeswax and raisin in Tegumai's mendy bag. Taffy sat down too, with her toes in the water and her chin in her hand, and thought very hard. Then she said, I say, Daddy, it's an awful nuisance that you and I don't know how to write, isn't it? If we did, we could send a message for the new spear. Just then, a stranger man came along the river, but he belonged to a far tribe, the Tivaras, and he did not understand one word of Tegumai's language. He stood on the bank and smiled at Taffy because he had a little girl daughter of his own at home. Tegumai drew a hank of deer sinews from his mendy bag and began to mend his spear. Come here, said Taffy. Do you know where my mummy lives? And the stranger man said, Silly, said Taffy. And she stamped her foot because she saw a shoal of very big crab going up the river just when her daddy couldn't use a spear. Don't bother grown-ups, said Tegumai, so busy with his spear mending that he did not turn round. I aren't, said Taffy. I only want him to do what I want him to do, and he won't understand. Then don't bother me, said Tegumai, and he went on pulling and straining at the deer sinews with his mouth full of loose ends. The stranger man, a genuine Tivara he was, sat down on the grass and Taffy showed him what her daddy was doing. The stranger man thought, this is a very wonderful child. She stamps her foot at me and she makes faces. She must be the daughter of the noble chief who is so great that he won't take any notice of me. So he smiled more politely than ever. Now, said Taffy, I want you to go to my mummy because your legs are longer than mine and you won't fall into the beaver swamp. And ask for daddy's other spear, the one with the black handle that hangs over our fireplace. The stranger man thought, This is a very, very wonderful child. She waves her arms and she shouts at me, but I don't understand a word of what she says. Students, I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this passage. I hope you all are reading when I give you time to read. You have 20 more seconds left. Okay, that's time up. Students, how did Taffy sit? Yes, correct. Taffy sat with her toes in the water and her chin in her hand. And what did Taffy think when she was sitting? You're right. Taffy thought it was an awful nuisance that they could not write. Students, now look for a word that means inconvenience. Yes, you're correct. The word nuisance means inconvenience. So students, when Taffy and Tegumai were sitting, a stranger came near the river, and the stranger was from Tivara tribe, and he couldn't understand what Taffy and Tegumai were saying. He couldn't understand their language. And the stranger smiled at Taffy. Students, what did Tegumai retrieve from his bag to mend the spear? Right. Tegumai retrieved a hank of deer sinews from the mendy bag to mend the spear. Now look for a word that means loosely tied bundle of strings. Yes, you're right. The word hank means loosely tied bundle of strings. Why did Taffy stamp her foot? Yes, Taffy stamped her foot because she saw a shoal of very big crab going up the river just when her daddy couldn't use the spear. Students, now look for a word that means large number of fish. Yes, you're right. The word shoal means large number of fish. Why didn't Tegumai turn around? Yes, you're correct. Tegumai did not turn around because he was busy mending his spear. And by this time, students, Taffy was irritated because the stranger was not understanding what Taffy wanted him to do. And Tegumai continued mending his spear. Students, look for a word that means Filtering. Yes, you're right. The word straining means filtering. Students, what did Stranger Man think about Taffy? Yes, the stranger thought Taffy was a very wonderful child because she stamped her foot at him and she made faces. He thought she was a daughter of noble chief who was so great that he didn't take any notice of him. Then we see in the story that Taffy tells him to go to her cave and bring her daddy's spear. With this, the stranger's admiration for her grew. Tell me, students, why did his admiration for Taffy grew at this point? Yes, you're absolutely right. Taffy was waving her arms and was shouting at him, and so his admiration for Taffy grew. Let us now move forward to the next passage. But if I don't do what she wants, I greatly fear that haughty chief, man who turns his back on Collar, will be angry. He got up and twisted a big flat piece of bark off a birch tree and gave it to Taffy. He did this, best beloved, to show that his heart was as white as the birch bark and that he meant no harm. But Taffy didn't quite understand. "Oh," said she, "now I see. You want my mummy's living address? Of course I can't write, but I can draw pictures if I have anything sharp to scratch with. Please lend me the shark's tooth off your necklace." The stranger man, and he was a Tivara, didn't say anything. So Taffy put up her little hand and pulled at the beautiful bead and seed and shark tooth necklace round his neck. The stranger man, and he was a Tivara, thought, "This is very, very, very wonderful child. The shark's tooth on my necklace is a magic shark's tooth, and I was always told that if anybody touched it without my leave, they would immediately swell up or burst. But this child doesn't swell up or burst, and that important chief, man who attends strictly to his business, who has not yet taken any notice of me at all, doesn't seem to be afraid that she will swell up or burst. I had better be more polite." So he gave Taffy the shark's tooth, and she lay down flat on her tummy with her legs in the air, like some people on the drawing room floor when they want to draw pictures, and she said, "Now I'll draw you some beautiful pictures. You can look over my shoulder, but you mustn't joggle. First I'll draw Daddy fishing. It isn't very like him, but Mummy will know because I have drawn his spear all broken. Well, now I'll draw the other spear that he wants, the black-handled spear. It looks as if it was sticking in Daddy's back, but that's because the shark's tooth slipped and this piece of bark isn't big enough. That's the spear I want you to fetch. So I'll draw a picture of me myself explaining to you. My hair doesn't stand up like I have drawn, but it's easier to draw that way. Now I'll draw you. I think you are very nice really, but I can't make you pretty in the picture, so you mustn't be offended. Are you offended?" So we'll do only this much part, and the rest part will be handled by father. So I'll give you 2 minutes now to go through this passage. Your timer has already started, so start reading the passage. Read carefully so that you will be able to answer the questions that I ask. Okay, stop reading. So students, this part is continuation of the previous part. The stranger now thinks that if he doesn't do what Taffy says, the chief will get angry. And how did the stranger describe the chief? Yes, right. The stranger described the chief as a man who turns his back on callers. Haughty means students, not very respectful. Students, why did the stranger give a bridge bark to Taffy? Yes, you're right. The stranger man gave bridge bark to Taffy to show that his heart was as white as the bridge bark and that he meant no harm to anyone or Taffy. Students, so when the stranger man gave Taffy the bark, Taffy thought he wanted her address so that he can give her message to her mummy, that is Teshumai Tivindrov. But as we saw earlier, Taffy couldn't write. So she said she will scratch, that is she will draw. And for that she wanted the shark tooth that the stranger was wearing as a necklace. But as we know, the stranger didn't understand what Taffy was saying. So what did Taffy do to take the shark tooth? Yes, Taffy pulled the necklace with her little hands. Once she pulled the necklace, students, what did the stranger think? Yes, you're right. He thought that Taffy is very, very, very wonderful child. And why did he think that? Yes, because he thought his necklace was magical. And if anyone touched it without his leave, they would swell or burst. But Taffy did not swell or burst, so his admiration grew even more about Taffy. So now Taffy takes the tooth and starts drawing. Students, what did Taffy draw? Correct. Taffy drew her daddy fishing, his broken spear, the black-handled spear that he wanted, a picture of herself and the stranger man. Students, look for a word that means to shake slightly. Yes, you're right. The word joggle means to shake slightly. And students, while she was drawing, she was explaining what she was drawing. So the correct spelling of splaining is explaining. What did Taffy tell the stranger man when she couldn't make him pretty? Yes, she told him that he is really nice, but she can't make him pretty in the picture and so he must not get offended. So, the correct spelling of offended is offended. Now here's a recap quiz for you. I have sent the link along with the video. You will go on that link and take the quiz. If you didn't get the link, type the link that you see on the screen in your Chrome tab and you will get the quiz. Let us now move forward. Here's a question for you all and I'll give you 5 minutes to write the answer for this question. So the question says, why did the stranger's admiration for Taffy grow? I'll give you 5 minutes to write the answer for this question. You can open your textbook and see where this question is, and you'll find the answer for this in that paragraph. And then you should frame the paragraph, you should frame the answer according to what you think is right. And then I'll give you all the answer for this question. I hope you all are writing the answer in your book. So here's the answer from my end. Taffy was a naughty girl. She had gone with her father to spear crayfish. There she met a stranger who was a Tibara. The stranger was wearing shark tooth necklace, which he thought was magical, and if anyone touched it, they would swell or burst. Taffy pulled the necklace, but she didn't swell or burst, and so the stranger's admiration for Taffy grew. So if you haven't written the answer, I'll give you 1 minute to copy down this answer in your notebook. You can start writing. Okay, students. So for homework, you will make sentences of your own using any 5 vocabulary words that we studied today. With this, we come to the end of the lesson. Thank you and take care. Do not forget to complete your homework and take the quiz that was set for you.